Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So did okay.
Hey,
Hi,
hello.
this is a SIG release meeting on Monday, September 25th. So we'll wait when Stephen joins. Let's see whether he has got some other items. But since Rado is here, Rado, this is the few items. Hey, Stephen.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we just started. Since Rado is back,
Yeah.
we were
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
cool.
I know. Because the last meeting was canceled. I actually went for a nap. So sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, okay, no problem. So, so if I see the, let's say, does it say something? Okay. How do I search by the flag?
By the user?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't show here, but here in this view, it may show, I think.
Yeah, you can sort here by assignees, and in consolidated sprint, maybe like an assignee equals, and then the...
Yeah, you're right. Actually, let me do that.
Yeah, assignee colon. No, it's assignee colon, like with milestone.
Yeah.
Sorry. Probably slapped together. I don't know if it will work with.
Let's see if it works this way. It's okay. It's here. Or a label. It's okay. We'll do here. Okay.
If you put assignee and semicolon, it will just show you the list that you can click through in consolidated sprint. If you go to consolidated sprint tab, just start writing assignee, and just click the what showed beneath. So just for future reference. Yes, and you will have like this thing, assignee and a colon without S, and in one, and you will have it automatically unfolds the list, but you will have to have the colon just after the S, the E letter. So it's assignee.
Okay.
Or assignee.
Too tricky.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, but then it comes useful. So
cool.
Just for future reference.
Cool. Thank you so much, Tyler. Yeah. So so I added these things as SIG release items. Obviously, everything is in this sprint, but it doesn't have to be this sprint. Maybe some of them I think I have figured you may have already done as well, but based on our discussions, I put these items. For example, experimental repo setup where we need to do certain things there. There is in the technical depth, the set up the pro job for experimental repo for license, copyright, and header scanning. You may have already done it. If not, done integration test prior to merging PRs. I know you were working on that one. Reject PRs if unit test coverage percentage falls below certain percentage. And the enable molecule framework. This came from Victor and Wish. They have written some tests, integration test using Ansible, using molecule framework for Ansible. It's an automation framework for testing. So they wanted it to be run automatically with a PR merge. So that is this one, and then this is automated build. This is something that John opened actually, in my view, if I'm correct. Yeah, basically he was looking for some kind of a help where he's seeing some of the issues. The automated build is not happening for a particular thing, for this functional report.
I somehow I've missed this.
Yeah,
I will jump.
Yeah,
Right
I just
into it.
what I made sure was, Rado, I just was trying to hear everything, whatever all the community was saying, and just try to create an issue. And then this one of time, I sent it to you. Please, it need not be always you also. If you think somebody else needs to do, please go ahead and reassign. And then, like I said, it doesn't have to be this sprint. It can be spread over the release. Uh, again, if you think you need help or anybody else to pitch in, please let us know, and then we can do it.
Yeah,
But I know, but some of the things you've already done, for example, automated release process. I just wanted to keep a note so that it's documented, and I know you have worked on it, and it's kind of, you're already done with it. So I knew it was already done, but I just created a ticket so that like it's there, it's documented.
Right.
This is my name. Yeah.
Yeah, I will update all of those shortly with the status. Some of them are done and basically ready to deploy. Some of them are still in progress.
Yeah.
So I will update them after the meeting.
Cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So this is one thing I wanted to. So Rado, we are very glad you're back. Really appreciate your help and support.
Thank you.
So like I said, if anybody else wants to take any of this to help Rado, please let us know. It will be really appreciable. So Stephen, that was one of my topics. So I can stop sharing, and then we can go with the other agenda topics if there are any.
No one actually had any. But then, so the that was continuing from
we can
week.
discuss about the one of the things I had in my mind. Obviously, I'm not good in putting that in the notes. So for the conference, right? Now,
Yeah.
the summit. So what do we need to do from our side? Yeah, that's one thing we could.
Okay. Yeah. Let me. So there's a very preliminary. There's a very preliminary schedule published by Tao mainly.
Saw that, yeah.
So far. So we he and I talked about it too a little bit last week. A lot of these obviously is not us to decide. The exacts and all that stuff are not really for us to touch. But there's some changes. For one thing, that particular for 6.3, which I agree to, is there were some ask that we should have some sort of compliance meeting, and then because of this, there's a consolidation of the deep dive. You can notice that the 6.3 deep dives kind of get rolled in, and then it's more like a development requirement versus development, basically. Deep dives. This is more like a SIG1 deep dive, but it's actually not on items that are more for POCs or futuristic things, which is interesting when you say deep dive, which the concepts. And then the other one is pretty light right now. I'm also not sure who's doing this, and when 40 minutes is a little too much for compliance. Because of this, we don't really have a deep dive for 6.3 per se on day 2. So day 1, as we talked about last week, anything from 1:15 on out is basically 6, 2, and 3 together.
So Stephen, sorry, I was speaking to you on mute. If you go back to the compliance stuff, is it the compliance with the security, copyright, licenses?
So I was told, this is actually from Condon. I was told that there was so obviously there's a concern now that we're going to RFN that our OpenSFF passing rate is actually quite low. So they want to talk about this, and then they want to talk about other compliance issues as part of the program. But mainly is we our security. Actually, I think Rado did a scan on vulnerability, which we don't have anything.
I was going to say that
pops up.
it would be really good if Rado could present it. Rado, is it too late for you? 11:20? No, same time actually. No, it's not.
It's doable. When's the conference, by the way?
It's October 9th and 10th Pacific.
Okay. Yeah, I can stitch something up to present there. No problem.
It's 11:20 means right now. What's the time there? Right now it's 10. 1 hour from now.
Yeah. So it's like 8 p.m. or something.
Plus 9 hours, right, for Europe. So this is so yeah, midnight.
It's not, hopefully not midnight, right? What's the time there? I don't know.
No,
now it's 7 p.m.
Now it's 7. Probably, yeah. That means it's
8. So that's 20. Yeah, 2020. So 8:20.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, sure, I can present something.
Yeah. Thanks. And then we can help with if at all you need any help with any of this presentation. I think please let us know.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I think that was one of the that was a concern, and it was raised, and then I said, yeah, sure, take the slide, and yeah, I still don't know what is actually inside per se, in terms of what he wants the compliance sessions are going to be. But then, yeah, I mean, vulnerability scan and things probably is one thing.
I think we can definitely tell Stephen that what we have been doing, right? We have been very diligent about licenses, and we have been very diligent about asking exceptions for licenses. We have been very diligent about copyrights, and then also copyrights for the dependencies as well as for the contributions. Then we have been doing that security scan as well. Probably we can highlight these 3 main items and rather than present our findings, what are the things that we did, what we have done. We have all those things. We can tell them a story how we have done it.
Yeah, right. So so that's A, and then I think another one is I think Rahul from Equinox has also did some open SSF things, and then our score is in the 30s.
35.
Yeah. So I think that was one of the main RFN concerns.
Actually, when I was studying in India, 35 was the passing marks. Below,
really?
Yeah. So below which 34 you fail, 35 you pass.
All right. So maybe the conclusion is we don't really have to do much. But I guess there's something about improving this as we go. Yeah. But it just came up on Friday last week, and I said, yeah, we don't we don't really. Otherwise, it'll be like another SDK type discussions on 2 days in a row, which is pretty much the same topic. So there's no, I don't have a big reasons to slot out.
It's 40 minutes. I think we have enough content to show, and we can say what we have done, how we have done it, and then we can say what we are going to do.
Okay. Yeah. We can. I can slot that in. I can work with Cal to put that in.
Cool.
Yeah. Other than that, so day 1, as we said, the rest of the day is basically ours. In speaking with John, which is actually the case, but you just never explicitly said, the SDK being a development tools is actually falling under the SIG-3 charter. So that's why we slotted this into SIG-3. But then again, once a lot of these people jumping out, it probably would be talking about Helm support, which probably has an effect that are more like cross SIG-3 into. But that would basically be the opportunity for folks to get into this. Vim particularly asked whether or not he would have a session on the function SDK, so I think we can slot that in. over there. Outside of that, for us particularly, we were talking about actually talking about what kind of check-in and things, workloads, our prowl jobs, and our integration tests as part of this live workshop hour and deep dive.
Yeah.
So that's yet another things that we would have some 6.3 items into this. Depends on how the workshop goes.
By the way, Steven, it's Wim. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand, but when I look to the attendance,
Mhm.
I mean, I was under the impression that it's mainly the people who are participating. Did other people have a similar impression?
Is there a
You mean
attendance
the
list
list of attendance that we got from Kenny?
Yes.
I think that only a few of us got that for one thing.
Where do we see that, Wim?
I think Kenny sent it to a few of us. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a mail. Okay, there was a mail. Yeah, okay. I didn't know it was private.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like publicly sent to TSC or something. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even. Okay. So maybe I should have. But I mean,
is it okay? Is it okay to ask? Is it kind of practitioner weighted or more?
okay,
No, maybe I won't. I won't
The
ask.
number of participants.
Not that I don't. The number doesn't matter, but it's is it the is it more is the names more focused towards practitioners or towards people who have made contributions in that, or is there many sort of people coming in who are just there to listen? I guess it's hard to tell.
I had the feeling. I mean, if I look to the people on the list, my take is that it's 80% of the people are active inside of Nephew.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Which means so that goes back to my comment that I made last week, I think, is that the relevance of the deep dive probably has a different purpose in that case. But it's something, I don't know where we will discuss that, but we have to discuss that probably, right? Because if we don't use the time appropriately based on the audience, then okay, it might, yeah, that's basically the reason of my comment.
Maybe at some point we can do a bit of agenda bashing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll discuss that later. It seems I should not have discussed.
Last week we did it here, actually. So that was when at least Tao was here because Tao's been editing it. Yeah, I don't. The one thing is we should kind of finalize it a little better.
Yeah, we need to make a call this week, in my view. Otherwise, we will never succeed, right? So that's why I'm bringing it up again. But I mean, I'm happy either way. But I just want to ensure that we make the best time or the best use of the time based on the fact that we are face to face, right? So that you make
so the biggest thing is, I think we talked about that last week. The fact that we don't do breakout sessions is kind of silly.
Yeah, but if I look at the list, I mean, the amount of people who are there, it's also the list was not huge either, in my view.
No, it's not that big. No, that was a bit of a.
So it's in my view, 80 to 90% of the audience is the people that we see on the calls, right? So if you look at that, then it's probably way more important that we basically pick topics that these community people highlight, right? And we dive into that.
Yeah.
And then,
it's more important.
My personal view, but
absolutely, completely agree with that.
It becomes a developer summit instead of like a intro summit.
Yeah, correct, indeed. So it really becomes like making progress, and because there is a lot of stuff, a lot of cases we don't have time to go into the details that certain people wanted to hear, and this is the opportunity to do so, right? At least that's how I feel. But okay, it's something we have to decide as a community. But yeah.
Yes, it's much better if we have something like whiteboard sessions with a subgroup of people on the side to talk about important topics. Rather than having presentations.
But I don't know. Yeah, it's in which setting we do that, but okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that are locked in that we can't do anything about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just talking about our part of the afternoon. I'm talking about this part, right? Day one from here onwards down, and then day two as well, right? So these are
the deep dive sessions. Yeah,
these are the two that I'm referring to, basically. The morning of day one is locked, right? So there's no way we can, and probably the beginning here of day two as well. So that's so it's only
so this slot is basically
correct.
This seems to be slot for like one topics, but anyway, so at least this set of slots are things that we should be looking at in terms of, can we get together? And this one too, in a way. And we'd rather make that something a little more. Hey, let's see what to do, because that as John said, this is basically more SIG-3 planning than R2, not SIG-3, R2 planning than R3 planning than R2 planning, because by the time we get the summit, development cycle is pretty much midway through the R2 release cycle, development cycle. So this is having this summit is more for like R3 planning, if it's planning at all. If there's any planning items, it's more R3 planning. And R2 is supposedly underway and looking at progress on a weekly basis already by then. So, okay. Yeah, so this probably is something we should pencil in and ask whether or not we really need it to be more of a presentation, or do we need it to be sessions where we can actually get people together and talk. Yeah, I mean the room limitations, I think the physical limitations is probably there for this. Yeah, but for Developer Summit, it wasn't well structured, I guess, in terms of having some breakout rooms or spots at least. Not even sure if they have whiteboards in the room. I don't know if you guys look at the summit schedule. Is there any further comments?
Yeah, I briefly looked at it. I think it's okay. I think the Gen AI stuff, did it not make it, or did I not read it correctly?
On day two in the afternoon, it seems. It's still there.
Gen AI
Gen
demo.
AI, I thought there was a Gen AI on
day two, I think.
The AI startups that we're talking about. And there's another one where it's a... Oh, okay. Oh, I thought that was another Gen AI discussion.
Yeah, that's what I think that one was moved up. How can okay? That's that.
Yeah. So that's a 30 minutes Gen AI, which just content, I guess. And then long security discussions, 45 minutes. And yeah. So that there's some, I mean, at least a little less time than previously slotted for Gen AI. But there's still just a half an hour discussions and a startup discussion sessions.
Yeah.
This is okay.
For sure. Okay, if there's something that we find is interesting to talk about, we'll make time somewhere to do it.
Because, make the time during the time. If I'm not suggesting people don't attend stuff, but then obviously if things are amazingly interesting, then maybe we should try to gather on the corner or something. I mean, the bad thing about so I was told, I don't know what the rules are actually. I was told that the Bayside buildings, they kind of lock us into the room. That's the problem. Otherwise, if it's a regular building, I think it will be easier for us to maybe reserve the adjacent rooms and maybe get some guys over. But then this time at Bayside, there's so many other stuff going on I was told there's security around the place, so I'm not sure whether or not we as mobile as we want it to be. There's a Bayview or Bayside. I don't remember the name of the building. I've only been there like once or twice, by the way, so it's not like I go to that building a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Steven, regarding the presentations that you have under your name, so what do you have in mind? Do you have in mind to more interactive presentations like
yeah, so obviously so for things that we have control over, we should have people signing up and coming up. It's not we are moderators for the first sessions for sure. We only, well, we're not talking about speaker. So I'm not a speaker. I'm a moderator. Okay. So I'll ask someone to come up and start talking. Once we finalized, well, I guess we sort of finalized. When we can start pinging people, or if you're interested, we can start getting people in slotted in as speakers. So this is 45 minutes. If folks are interested on subtopics, we can get 5 to 10 minutes of subtopics that will be within this. Likewise here. That you have to talk to John and Vim on how to slot your time within this 45 minutes. It would be nice to have presentations, but then if you want that to be just more like interactive sessions, that's also okay.
So yeah, maybe one idea that we can borrow from the OpenStack Summit was like having like a Etherpad.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I think last time we run a Google Doc with questions. I think with LF they would create an Etherpad, and I don't know how to run, but then at the very least you probably expect that we would at least create a Google Doc where folks can just go and start editing and talking about what their questions and backlog. I mean, we had a backlog last time, also. Last time meaning the June summit last year, yeah. To be fair, I don't actually even know if we fully ever like this one actually. I still have it. Yeah, so we had a backlog last year also. So I to be fair, I don't think we actually answered all the questions at the end anyway. But then let's try this time around, I guess. So yeah, we definitely want that to happen instead of everyone interrupting your little. If you want to give you 5 to 10 minutes, and then everyone start jumping in and asking questions, that may kind of deter the time slot.
Exactly, and also like putting like a kind of a minutes, like taking minutes and putting that for non-person for people who are not attending the conference in person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so this time around, hopefully we'll get to the questions on the doc directly. So we'll try to answer the questions in the doc directly. At the end of the day, hopefully. As a community too, if anyone wants to answer. Okay. Any other comments on the? I mean, I don't really control the schedule.
My only question, Steven, is we are vendor onboarding, Nephew SDK, and Helm. We have 3 people.
Okay, way more than that. So I would imagine, I look at the list of folks. I know Fiacra is not going, but then
So, but what I'm talking about, if your name is listed on the left-hand side under topic, and I'm understanding that they are expected to present something, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So present or get some talking points moving. Yeah, but then it would be nice if you get a presentations ready.
Yeah, but
because of the remote attendees, it was a little easier for them to be able to see some visually. You're talking about something.
Yeah, but
I can do a poor man's job of proxy for FICRA.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I figured, because you'll be there, and then I would imagine you'll be filling in, unless Clarion is Clarion is doing it. I would imagine you'll probably be a better person, because obviously you're more involved in the SDK on a weekly basis.
But my point is this: can we define who is doing what? Because we have basically 2 weeks from now. And it's better to have it clear than to just have 3 people and they all look into each other and nothing is happening, or they all overlap their content. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Person's more likely to defend him.
Yeah. So in my view, of the people, so Sandeep actually reached out afterward. So he has something to present, obviously. Where is it? Oh, I scrolled too fast.
My point is, I was going to give a proposal, right? And I don't know whether you would agree or not, right? But there is 3 people. So my name, what I would do for this vendor onboarding, I would take this, what we discussed with this NF deploy CRD potentially.
Okay.
Like, it's useful. So I would focus on that
let me
part.
add some subtitles there.
Right. So that's why I'm bringing it up, basically. And then Nephew SDK, I would think, I was under the impression that Steven, you would take the lead there, and then Helm would be more or something like that. I mean,
so 2 of these were Helm, because the 2 approaches. I'll let them have
maybe Liam also does something on Helm or something. But I just wanted to ensure that we have a split, and then we can focus who is doing what and what have you, right?
Yes.
So that was my point, more or less. That we make it clear that who is doing what, because otherwise it would be stupid that I come and I basically have an overlapping presentation with you. and maybe different perspectives. Different perspective is probably good, but I think we should avoid that, at least from a presentation, that maybe we could say, okay, you focus on this, you focus on that, you focus on that, and then it's clear.
Yeah, let me add that in. So overview or whatever would be mine, and then you'll be the function SDK. Sandeep would be, I guess, his point is the operator
SDK, and then the NF deploy, I think, right? So the make it clear on what changes that we did, on how we do vendor onboarding. My plan was to build an example on how to use it, and then make it clear, because I think that's an important thing that irrespective of the SDK. I mean, the SDK should, of course, work in that environment, but you could use that without the SDK as well, is what I'm trying to get. Okay.
Okay. The top one is actually slightly better. The SIG 2.
Yeah, there we have a split, except for NF2 Infra, but I would take that way because that's probably where busy one, right? But so there we have, at least it's clear, one topic, one person. Whereas that was my comment. And then we probably have to do the same for the live workshop. I think it would be good, like on the 3:15 to 4:40, to discuss who is doing what, because we have lots of moderators. And I'm still questioning, given the people, how useful this would be. But I still have a question there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So,
given the time slot, given the setup, it is kind of questionable in terms of if the main point is to get community together, talk about topics, and get folks interested. The presentation, I'm not actually sure, but anyway.
But that maybe we should discuss. I don't know where. Probably in the automation thing. It's like.
Yeah, I mean, wondering. They slot this as presentations, so they do one presentations, but then the way we narrow topics is.
For these, it's okay, right? I think these are good things because, right? So there, of course, you can do it. I'm more talking about the live workshop thingy, 3:15 to 4. That's where I have more question on the usefulness given the participation.
And I think that's a long slot as well.
Well, not only that, because we can easily spill over, and then no one's stopping us. Oh, yeah. So, Yeah,
there
so,
are a
so
few,
I mean, the question is, whether you want to have a very, very huge R1 reviewed.
There are a
over,
few
like,
new people as well, Stephen, that I saw. So maybe for those, it's definitely useful. But the question is that the most, could we get those people onboarded in a different way or somehow if they are really coming to?
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, whether or not we want to get part of that into our sessions. I think even here on Vish, who's probably who just left the meeting, I guess. Vish was one who asked that we do. He does want to have some sort of review sessions.
Okay, but then that's why I'm saying it's a different setup, right? So review session is like because we discussed last time, how does package variant, package revision, kept, and so on work. But then the content is very different than. That's why what I'm trying to clarify is what do we want this content to be? Because also here we have topics, but we have moderators. But the question is then who is doing what and what needs to be done by whom to make this relevant. I'm just bringing it up because we basically have 2 weeks before the thing happens, and it's not a lot of time. And most people are busy with other stuff as well.
That's right.
So yeah. I think the sooner we clarify, the better, I think, and we make a decision. That's why I'm bringing it.
Yeah, I mean, so the live workshop has always been a bit controversial because when we talked about it last week, originally we thought, hey, we want to create those VMs and do what we did in ONE Summit again. And then the conclusion of the community is it's not really the best use of time. Yeah, actually, John has a different view. John wasn't here. We refer you back to John, and John said that, hey, for me, it would be better to learn hands-on. So he's actually a proponent of giving them VMs and things. But he's okay with the community saying that, let's run it as a live workshop instead of having all these people supporting, all of us supporting. What is it now? 60, 70 people that are signed up that are running this hands-on and then also scrambling around like last time. It's not the big bang for them. It's not the best use of time. So I think we agree in general. So the live workshop is okay. So the question is whether or not we want to even further do it more of a technology tutorial sessions, or even like kind of spit over and saying that, hey, maybe this is where John can talk about what's next report too. There was the shortcomings that we found on R1, and then maybe
correct. I mean, we could dedicate it purely to that topic as well, right? I mean, so we could, because I think there were some people who were asking package variant, package revision, and stuff like that. How does it work? That I think, but then we have a different ownership, and I would say that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm trying to clarify who is doing what for in this section here, because for me it's not so clear.
Yeah, but we can put names. I mean, obviously, Porch and
that one probably we can also discuss in the SIG automation meeting.
Yes, this slot we probably have to clarify there how we.
Well, given not everyone's here for one thing. Probably even.
No, for sure. Yeah. So let's discuss it there. Yeah. Do I need to bring it up as a topic?
Yeah, please do that. So we'll make sure it has a day of time instead of race.
Well, add it to the agenda. At least we don't forget, right? It's very easy.
Yeah. Well, regarding that particular point, I don't know if you remember, like in the last in the One Summit workshop that we carried, one interesting approach that at least I tried to explore it was using code spaces, GitHub code spaces. So, and I guess it could be easier for us. Like, I mean, if the idea is to like provide those environments and give the audience like the possibility to interact with them and destroy and do all these things. So I don't know if we can retake that concept. I mean, I prefer like for offering like that self yourself approach instead of having taking care of provisioning the VMs and making sure.
Yeah. I mean, it'll if they only take the VM at the day of getting the VM, creating clusters, all that stuff will actually take up most of the time. The idea is to make that easier for them. But then again, the experience in ONE Summit is we are guessing from just things by feelings and inspections. No more than say 5 or 6 people probably ran through the demo, the workshop, and then most of the people get stuck somewhere and kind of stop, and then some people probably didn't even start. So we just, in retrospect, we just didn't think that was like, because of how much work we have to put in prior to the events, just to get everything prepared. We just, and the fact that all of us becoming just helpers during that workshop, instead of actually talking about anything at all. So because if you remember on the workshop, there was workshop slot, and then they eat into either some sort of SIG2 discussion slots. So there was actually not even any SIG2 discussion really on that day. So we just wonder whether or not. So last week, actually, not in this same meeting, the community was reflecting on this. Probably may not be the best use of time.
Exactly.
And so that's true. And they probably, if they have the heart to do so, they can get their own VMs and things and get it ready. And then by the time we start running the live, we can actually do it. They can do it on hands-on, and then they can ask questions as they go.
The good thing about code spaces, if once that we enable it, we can just leave it as there, and people, like, anytime they can create like their own VMs, like maybe for special meetups. Like I know that in Bangalore they're planning to do a meetup, so they can reuse that, and they will have exactly the same process to provision like the Nephew VM. So that's
where's the VM hosted then?
Yeah, it's on the I think in Microsoft Azure, because it's a GitHub thing. Okay. But yeah, it's basically a self-service provisioning. So it's one option.
That may be something to think about. I mean, for folks that are interested.
Yeah,
we can raise that point. I mean,
that's what I would propose for this slot is the following, right? Is that is if we know the people are there, right? We could basically say, we are expecting you to have run through our one sandbox thing, right? The other thing that we could do is, for example, I mean, Victor, I think what you're proposing is a good point, is alternative or improvements on how to run the sandbox or whatever environment, right? And that could be a proposal. Let's say if Victor is willing to do so, to basically say, okay, here is some alternative or let's say other things that we could do that would improve it, and here is why and how, right? And have a discussion around that. I think that's very useful for, or at least that would be useful to me, I would think.
No, well, basically the major difference is how I mean, at least what I have in mind is reusing the same sandbox scripts and everything. So the only difference is like the way to trigger the creation of the sandbox. Yeah. So instead of like for example, we have now like the CI process, which is triggering based on the pull request, a manual process that you can download the code and run it manually, like triggering manually the creation of the process. And probably we can create a new one, which is reusing exactly the same scripts, like which could be code spaces and consuming exactly the same process. So,
for example, Victor, I did something with Packer, right? So you basically install it, you create an AMI or an image yourself, which have everything pre-installed, so you don't have to run the process again.
That's another possibility as well.
And then you basically run an AMI for AWS and Google or Azure and stuff like that, which saves a lot of headaches. So you basically have an image or a Nephew image, if you will, that we can support as a community. For example, I think Cluster API does that, right? So they have certain AMIs or whatever flavor it supports on the cloud, and that can even be like a virtual box one, right? And then it basically reduces the time to install because the image is already pre-installed, and becomes like a Nephew thingy.
Well, the only issue with that approach is like pre-baking images is eventually you have to keep maintaining. I have seen.
Correct. In this case, what we should do is basically I have a build process that with every new release builds those, right? and maintains that this is the release 2, this is the release 1.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what I'm trying. I'm not saying that what I'm proposing here or what I'm discussing here is the approach, or that we take, but these are all things that we could discuss, whereas today we don't, right? And that would be a good audience to do so because we are live. We are face to face, so it's probably more efficient.
Agree. Yeah. Definitely agree.
So that could be one. I added the topic on the Wednesday meeting for the automation, so maybe
yeah. So we can break it down into who's doing what over here, or in generally how we want to run this. This is potentially a like near 2 hour slide if we eat into the 5 o'clock. So we would like to make use of that much more nicely.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, I mean that was the topic of discussion last time too. Mainly, we kind of changed the setting a little bit, but then it seems like, given the limited time, we want to get even better use of the time. So we should talk about that when all the stakeholders are in the meetings. So hopefully everyone here will be on the SIG meeting on Wednesday, and so we can kind of we can then draw names and then know exactly what to do before the summit. As Wim said, we're not that far away from the summit. We should probably get something prepped soon. Okay. Any other questions on the summit?
So do we know how many people are coming in person?
Steve? Right now, so Kenny sent us a thing. So I mean, I mean, it's not. Well, I mean, it's not really a secret thing. I wouldn't say, but then it's not actually even in my Google thing. So it's an email that he sent. How many people? I would say, I don't know, 50, 60 or so. That was okay. He sent it to us about on 4 days ago, September 21st. And as Wim said, we sort of know most of the people name wise on there.
Okay.
There are a few people that we would never seen, to be honest. And then
so that is in person, right? That is in person, and people are attending virtually too.
Yeah, so this is very hard to know. So he sent us a list, and then they didn't say anything about are they in person or are they virtual, because I think that's a selection to just give us a list of people with first name, last name, and company names. So I was when I saw, for example, when I saw Sandeep's name, Samson Sandeep's name, I was under impressions that he would be remote, because I think Victor mentioned that other than him, maybe the other folks are not joining live. But then I was just told by him today that he will be there. So, so that could be a list of live folks then, and that would be nice. Yeah, Kenny didn't say anything about live versus other people virtual. Okay. We just get a list.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not my Google email, so I can present it. But anyway, so.
Yeah, that's fine. So I was just curious to know whether.
And to be so my understanding is this: he sent us that list before closing. I thought it was actually already closed, but then I saw someone on the Slack that he said, oh, someone said that he couldn't register anymore, but then you should be able to still. So it's probably not the final list.
In my view, if we have not hit the capacity, we should open it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
I think probably we should. Since probably you or Wim can suggest it to Kenny because you are privy to the information officially. So if you think, Stephen, if you did not hit that capacity for whatever the capacity,
we should keep it open. Yes.
Yeah, I think you should keep it open.
Yeah. So from that list, definitely no, not even close. So we still have a lot of seats left.
Can you please suggest it to Kenny?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Yeah, as Wim said, mainly folks that we know and been in community one way or another for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people I don't know, but not many. Actually, yeah. So cool. Yeah. Anything else?
The remote setup. Sorry, just Faker here. Like I probably time zone wise, it might be a little bit tricky for me. I have little children in the house as well. But the remote setup, do we expect to have an okay? I know you're saying the room.
Yeah. So we
isn't
tentatively,
great,
because it's a Linux Foundation event, we want to remotely set it up for Zoom, but then we do understand that Google has a policy on Zoom. In case it doesn't happen, then we'll publish the Google Meet link.
Google Meets, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
cool, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So
especially for in-room joining of the meeting, which is what we want. Meet for sure works. Zoom, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
So
I mean, we can always join and Meet and then project the Zoom. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so go ahead, Bella.
So I think the plan A, plan B should be published ahead of time. The links.
Yeah.
You should say, do this Zoom if it doesn't work too. Otherwise, it will be very tricky to communicate at that point of time, the link.
Yes.
I think if you can know ahead of time, Stephen.
Yeah, so for sure. So that one for sure we'll express that on the event planning meetings.
Yeah.
So every Tuesday and Thursday we have event planning meetings. So
okay.
Not something you guys want to join.
Okay.
So yeah, we can raise that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, talk
Thank
to you
you,
guys
everyone.
next
Have
week.
a great
I'll
day.
hopefully talk to most of you guys on Wednesday. So.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 All right.